Hello and welcome to the BMC Quick Course series on NGT 12.1 new functionality. My name is Doug Wilson and I'm a software consultant at BMC. In this session, we'll discuss the new NGT global configuration. Now you can have one NGT configuration for all of your DB2 subsystems. First, let's have a quick review of NGT configuration. This is one of many quick courses. Here are some others for NGT 12.1 new functionality. Here we have a DB2 subsystem, DSNT, and we're going to configure NGT for it. In 11.2, we ran a configuration job for each subsystem, and it created RX10 members in the BMC link library. This has your NGT plus Parms, and an RX11 member that named your NGT subsystem datasets. Some of the datasets have been renamed in 12.1. The log PDS is grayed here because its name didn't change. Also, a change is coming very soon to allow for the elimination of this dataset. Finally, back when there were CDB passwords, they were linked to an RX11 0GBL member, which was global to all subsystems. This is now expanded to be a global configuration for NGT plus Parms and libraries. So what's in the way of having a global configuration? Certainly the NGT system dataset names would be different in the configuration for each DB2. The RACF ID could be different, as well as the high-level qualifier for the NGT work prefix and the optional control prefix. These high-level qualifiers may only differ at the LPAR or Plex level, but since they can differ, we have to account for them. So let's see what's changed. New in 12.1 are symbolics, which can be used in the naming of the NGT system datasets, with the primary one being the subsystem ID. Also provided is the product version as 4, 3, or 2 digits, and 2 user variables where values can be supplied. We'll show examples of these in the next slides. There's also a DBM1 ID symbolic for the plus RACF ID parm. This is to provide the RACF ID of the DB2 DBM1 address space for creating the shadow datasets. With this, NGT will use the same authority as DB2 reorg. Let's have a look at where these dataset symbolics are used. A plus parm has been added for the naming of each NGT system dataset. This is where you can use those new symbolics. In this first example, the checkpoint dataset name includes a symbolic for the subsystem ID and a 3-digit version number. So for this subsystem, it resolved to DSNT121. Let's see some more examples. In this next example, we'll use the user variables. Here we set them to NGT and test. These values can be a node in the dataset name or part of a node. This is not a good example because the name would not differ between DB2 subsystems. Individual utility jobs can override part of the name this way by specifying a different value for one of the user plus parms. This example is not recommended for the checkpoint dataset, but something similar could be useful for NGT Auto 1. In this final example, the only variable is Ampere subsystem ID. This would be the best practice as it resolves to a non-version dataset name that differs only in the subsystem ID. Let's wrap up the discussion of NGT system datasets by reviewing the search order NGT uses to find the name. If a DD is supplied in the utility job to name one of the NGT system datasets, this is used. Second, it looks for a value supplied by the utility job for one of the new plus parms. Not finding these, NGT will look for a subsystem-specific configuration, and if that isn't found, it will use the new global configuration created with the 12.1 install. A new message will report which configuration was used, the specific or the global. It is not recommended to specify the NGT checkpoint dataset in utility jobs. Leave this to the configuration. We've mentioned the plus parms which may have to vary between DB2 subsystems. Ampere DBM1 ID will easily take care of the plus RACF ID parm. This leaves the work prefix and the little used control prefix. These may not differ or may only differ at the LPAR or Plex level. Let's see how these are dynamically set. Here we have configured the plus work prefix to sys3.temp_NGT. Assuming this value is correct for some systems, but not all, we're using NGT automation member xsut_glob to set the value for some other LPARs. Here we are getting the LPAR name and providing the high-level qualifier based on LPAR. If your naming standard for LPARs or subsystem IDs identifies the environment, dev, task, QA, etc., by a position of the name, you could substring that out first, then select the high-level qualifier based on that character. Very little logic should be needed here to set up a global configuration. In summary, there are new symbolics to provide the NGT system dataset names to new plus parms for naming these libraries. A new symbolic just for the plus rack FID parameter, and NGT automation can be used to set the high-level qualifier for the NGT work prefix if necessary. These values will be linked into your BMC link library to be made available to all your DB2 subsystems. Thank you for your time and have a great day.